All right, welcome to whatever episode this is of the Brent Carlin podcast with our guest Mountainhead. We got a DM from these boys saying that they're actually fans of the podcast, so maybe they are one of the 62 subscribers that we actually have for this thing. The fact that,
or maybe they're just being nice. Maybe they're just being nice to us too. That's probably what it was.
Yeah,
we watched some Effies. We watched some Effies.
We appreciate it.
And we know what it's like to have 62 subscribers.
Yeah, we know all about that.
Well, we're pumped that anybody wants to be a part of the podcast. So thanks for coming on. You sent us a bit of an overview because I'll be straight up. I didn't know much about you guys. I know that we're playing your song at the radio station that Carlin and I both work at, and I dig the tune. But other than that, don't know a hell of a lot about you guys. You're brothers. And you sent us a little thing saying that the origin story of the band is interesting. So why don't we get into that right away?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so basically how it started, we did a cross Canada tour with another band we were in. It was a 5-piece and we weren't all that stoked on it, but we had gotten this new drummer who was super fire drummer, like great player. And, the start, I guess it was the first show of the tour
like
was
from the Muppets.
Yeah, he's like Animal from the Muppets. The first show of the tour was at the Horseshoe, and before that he said, "Hey guys, like I was just in Colombia, and this Mayan Shaman's going to be in town when like the day after the Horseshoe. He's like, so we should go do a DMT ceremony with him." And we were like, "Okay, sure." You know, always
that's intrigued. That's something you just do on a whim. Hey, what? Yeah, I have some DMT. You want to do this?
I also just like the sentence, "My shaman's in town."
Yeah. I mean, that's what intrigued us as well. I mean, we're no strangers to altered states of consciousness, but we'd never shared that space with a Mayan shaman before.
What makes someone a shaman? I wonder. Did you ask? You obviously don't go to school for it.
Yeah, I don't know if he has a degree or a diploma. I think
it's one of the two.
I think someone else has to appoint the title.
When you're in that space, you understand.
Yeah.
You understand. You're like, oh, this is what this is for. I didn't understand this before.
Yeah, I guess it would be a lot of like, I'm taking you at fucking face value that you're a shaman because I don't know enough about it to say that you aren't.
Yeah.
Let's go do drugs now.
Exactly.
Yeah, he looked like one.
Yeah, look the part. I think is 90% of being a shaman. Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, we linked up with him and we go to this like apartment on the Danforth, and there's like a lady that answers the door. She kind of looks like the Oracle from the Matrix, and we just chill there. And the shaman comes back with our drummer, and the look on his face is of pure terror. And we're basically like in line for the roller coaster, and we're like, great, this is great news.
So you had to do it all one at a time?
Well, he did the drummer one at a time, but then Kyle and I went together.
Oh, okay.
So we start walking with him, and we walk to this dog park in the Danforth, and we're like, okay, I guess he's probably got some place deep down in the park away from everyone because there was people everywhere. We take like 20 steps into the park, and he's like, right up here. And we're like, oh, fuck. And we walk up to the tree, and we're like, are we really about to smoke the strongest psychedelic in front of all these people? Like, this is a little heat. And he's like, yeah, sit at the base of this tree. So I sit down first, and he puts this like this blanket over our heads, and he pulls out basically what looks like a straight crack pipe, like just a straight glass pipe. And
this is the story of the first time you guys tried crack.
Yeah, well, I don't think it was crack from the results, but yeah. Anyways, we smoked the DMT. It was an earth-shattering experience, I suppose you could say. It feels like 10 minutes, but also a lifetime, and it kind of feels like you live and die a million lifetimes during the experience. So,
is it worth trying?
I mean, if you're okay at letting go, then yeah, I would recommend it to anyone because it's short enough in duration, and it's not so heavy in the mind. Like you'll be seeing the craziest shit you've ever seen or heard, but you're still like completely with it as if you're sober. Like there's no body intoxication or like haziness. You're just like taking it for what it is and just astounded pretty much.
Does it take you on a trip? Like, or are you just sitting there?
I mean, like eyes open or closed, you're seeing inexplicable objects and motions. Like it's extremely geometrical and visually, and it feels like I don't even know. The shaman called it the gates of life and death. So whatever that means. But it was definitely it was interesting. It was very interesting. I can't explain what it is that I saw or what it was, but probably 10 minutes later you come back down and you're like, did any of that just happen, or did I just fall asleep for 5 minutes?
Is DMT like, so shrooms are considered, you're more of like a passenger to the drug, and then acid, I know it'll probably sound weird to a lot of people because acid seems way crazier, but acid, you're supposed to be more in the driver's seat than a passenger. So DMT, like, are you just along for the ride, or are you in control of kind of like your narrative with that drug?
Absolutely no control. I don't think, like, at least for me, I got anxious the first 30 seconds. I remember being like this, and there was a sound that was like that built to an intensity where it almost popped. And then I just remember all the tension leaving my body. And to me, it was like, I guess maybe that's what dying feels like, because everything that you know in this realm, or whatever the hell you want to call it, is just gone. And you're floating in, again, just the weirdest geometric space you could ever imagine.
And then coming back down, you can't believe that you were living this life. You're like, oh my God, I completely forgot about this. This is hilarious.
Yeah. You forget about this whole thing pretty quickly.
Does it give you a hangover at all? Like, did you feel shitty for a couple days, or is it just nothing?
Nothing. If honestly, like, I was like, did we even do it? Yeah.
Wow. Did you have to pay this shaman for his DMT?
Oh yeah.
How much did you pay for some DMT?
He was a hustler too.
Yeah, he's got to make his bread. I think it was like $100 each.
Okay.
Which, I mean,
$100 to go to a park under a fucking blanket.
Yeah.
It's like Wonderland, but the inside instead of the outside.
Yeah. It's about, it costs the same as a bottle of water from Wonderland, so we figured it was a good deal.
I'm gonna fucking, if I could grow some facial hair, that's my first start to this, but I'll try to grow a beard. I'll wear very flowy clothing, maybe like a robe. I'm gonna grab some convenience store level salvia, and I'm gonna take people on DMT trips. That's what I'm gonna do. That's gonna be my new venture. Because we used to do salvia like in high school almost every Friday. And then it got to the point where I was sick of salvia because like it fucked my brain up so much that I was like, all right, my friend Dean, I'm going to pay to watch you do salvia.
Yeah, salvia is a mystery in its own. That's a very
hard one
drug
to
too.
pin down. What the hell is going on there? Yeah.
The fact that I can grab salvia at a convenience store is fucking ludicrous.
Horse killer.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
But so how did the DMT shaman ceremony lead you guys to the band?
Well, he kind of said, I mean, this was more on our own laurel, but he said, like, guys, everything you've known and lived and programmed into your nervous system before today, he's like, let go of it. And, we weren't feeling particularly stoked on the music we were playing at the time. And we kind of just left that experience as like our own line in the sand. Be like, okay, let's quit this band and let's just do our own thing. Because it seems the more people we put in between us as brothers, the further away we can get from doing what we want to do. So we went from a 5-piece and started this duo, and it's, the music for us was a lot more rewarding to make, and it seemed to garner more attention and do better out in the public space than what we were doing previously. So but it was a reset.
If we go back to tripping on DMT in a public park, were you under a blanket the whole time, or did you just smoke it under a blanket?
No, he put the blanket over my head, and then as soon as I hit it, he pulled it off, and I swear he turned into a bird and flew away. That's what it seemed like to me at the time. But I also, as soon as I got high, I completely didn't care about where I was at all. Like I wasn't even conscious of, whatever you want to call where we were. I wasn't conscious.
It's like, I think it's white guy anxiety. Oh, is everybody looking at me? Oh, there's dogs everywhere. We're doing this right here.
Were you doing anything to make anyone look at you?
No, just sitting at the base of a tree. Other than the fact that there was 3 of us with long hair and beards, and the shaman opted to put feathers in our hair, so we definitely stuck out.
I would have been like, I'll give you 150 if you just give me the DMT and let me do it at home.
You need the shaman, man. He's got a fucking special blanket.
Oh yeah, he was spinning a totem too. But
he was spinning a totem. I would not have taken drugs from this man.
I mean, I was bigger than him if things went bad.
I love the idea. Were you doing anything that made people look at you? Yeah, dude. They were smoking DMT under a fucking blanket in a park.
Feathers in their hair and a shaman spinning.
You got a family out for fucking Spanakopia and the Danforth, just watching these people take turns going under a blanket and go on the wildest fucking ride of their lives.
I wonder what they're doing over there. They're probably just doing DMT under a blanket with a shaman.
That's a good Sunday activity.
That's the shaman spot. He takes people here like every weekend.
You just let him be.
Preserves that fucking pine tree.
God, I feel like that's over the course of the last year, I've heard so many different styles of therapy that rely on psychedelics. I was talking to my therapist actually about an MDMA ceremony because I'm so uncomfortable with the idea.
MDMA.
Yeah, it's an MDMA ceremony. So my girlfriend's
huge therapeutic tool.
My girlfriend's cousins and aunt and uncle, they had a death in the family, and they were all, it weighed on them pretty heavily, and they were getting over it as normal people would, but they ended up doing MDMA ceremony.
Amazing.
And they completely, every one of them changed. They couldn't have spoken more highly about the experience. And I was like, holy shit. And then my therapist was talking about that too. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is a common theme going. And I was fucking watching Jimmy Kimmel the other day. And Megan Fox was like, yeah, me and Machine Gun Kelly went and did a ketamine ceremony. And I was like, everyone is doing this.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Everyone needs a little space from their heads and their thoughts.
Exactly. It gets you away from the stuff you keep yourself in, and then you can be open and actually talk to people heart to heart, and then the communication is clear and you understand each other for the first time. It's oh, this is what you were saying. It's very good for that.
I do feel like people do need to be a little more open to it. Even every time I do mushrooms, I'm like, my mom is such a tight ass, and now that I'm an adult, I'm 30 years old, I'm like, you should just do. She's an artistic type, and she likes writing and painting, but I'm just like, your life would be better if you just did mushrooms a few times and just tried it out. And it's not a very serious drug, but it makes everything so much better. You just you feel like you're in such a happy place, you never want to go back to your shitty normal self, and it's the most fun you can have without actually going and doing something.
There's this page in Seth Rogen's book that I'm reading right now where he's essentially talking about how he loves doing mushrooms and acid, and he's not so much of a drinker these days. And he was saying that the stigma around those drugs is so fucking annoying, because if somebody described a drug that does all the things that alcohol does, oh, you do this and you feel pretty weird and wobbly for an hour, and then you feel dizzy, and then you throw up, and then the next day you feel like total shit. No one would do that drug, but everyone drinks, and it's so socially acceptable. But as soon as you say I'm sure your mom has a couple glasses of wine, but if you were like, Mom, take this little mushroom cap that's like a micro capsule, she'd be like, never.
Yeah. I will say about mushrooms, I always get such a bad hangover off them, but it might be because I am just eating too many of them too.
I think it's because the last time you did mushrooms, you were fucking hammered.
Yeah.
Carlin did a bunch of mushrooms with he did a bunch of mushrooms with my parents.
Oh yeah, a couple weekends ago.
I brought him and his girlfriend up. This is great for the podcast. We haven't talked about this yet. So Carlin and his girlfriend came up to my parents' place for the first time a couple weekends ago. My girlfriend
with some other people too. It wasn't just me and your parents.
My girlfriend was
mushrooms.
there, another couple, my buddy, my parents had a couple friends. So there's a good crew of us there. And my girlfriend brought a shit ton of mushrooms, and I had a really bad mushroom experience at like the end of last year where I thought I was dead, and then like led me to like new therapy because I was fucking like really messed up about it. So I was like, I don't care if you guys mushrooms, but like I'm gonna take the smallest pinch. That's it. Carlin, his girlfriend, my girlfriend, my other buddies, my mom and my dad throwing back mushrooms. Like there was like a bag, like pretty substantial. It's gone. Carlin keeps coming up to me, just smiling and going, like he said it probably 4 or 5 times throughout the night. Mushrooms are the best drug, man.
They are. They're the best drug.
That's not a lie.
No, it's not. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Maybe I did drink a little bit too much liquor, and that's why I was hungover. Because at the end of the night, you know what the worst part about that night was? I was staying at Brent's parents' house, and when I got there, everyone was already at the beach, so no one told me where I was sleeping. And Brent's just like, "Oh yeah, you're sleeping upstairs." And at the end of the night, I was the last one up. So I go upstairs, and I'm like, I have no idea which room's mine, but my girlfriend's already sleeping in one. And I open up one of the doors, and of course it's Brent's parents' room, and his mom shoots up out of bed, and she's like, wrong room," and she like screams at me to get out of there. It was awful.
Gotta play bedroom.
You're ruining
roulette,
her
you know,
trip,
sometimes.
man.
Yeah. During mushroom trip too.
Yeah.
I had already shown his girlfriend because she was same situation as me and my girlfriend. We're like weaning the night down, and then I was like, okay, Danny, here's where you stand. I thought that I showed Carlin, or that like Danny had told him, but no. And my dad thought it was fucking hilarious though.
Bedroom roulette.
Yeah. It was a good
Honestly,
time.
Brent, does your parents do mushrooms? Have they done them before?
Yeah, they were like loaded on mushrooms that night. Like,
so they're cool with it, eh?
Totally. Like my parents are pretty liberal when it comes to that sort of stuff. Like I've been getting fucked up with my parents for like far too long. But like it wasn't until because I was worried about like how my mental would be with mushrooms for a long time until I started.
Yeah.
Until I had a couple experiences that I was like, you know what? Like I can fucking lean into that, and I can wiggle my way out as long as I don't take too much. And then I did a shit ton at a Casey Musgraves concert, and it was the best night of my life. And I was like, if I've said this before, and I will say it again, when you see a beautiful woman sing to you in pretty much every song that everything is going to be okay is like the message of every song that she has on mushrooms, you're like, I fucking believe you.
Yeah.
100%.
Good call, man. Great call.
It was, yeah. So after that,
situations with it though, too.
Yeah. Have you guys had poor experiences with that sort of shit before?
Man, like,
for sure.
Like I think I've gone too far, and I'll never be able to come back again. Like I'm not gonna be able to integrate into society ever again. Like, great.
Really?
I've done it now.
There was
like
definitely that I've done it now scenario comes up a lot. But there was one time we were playing Gus's Pub in Halifax, and we took mushrooms before that. We were experimenting with different substances before different shows just for shits and giggles, and it so happened that
just see
that's
what
like
you can play on, see how far you can take it.
I would never.
It can be a nightmare for sure.
I would never do it now with Mountainhead, but in this band, like we were jamming a lot. But at Gus's, so we got high and we were jamming, and it was getting pretty good. But then we all started to see there's like a glass area with VLTs, and there was just fucking zombies in the VLT room, and we're on stage, and I could not take my eyes off of the zombies, just like, and it just got worse and worse. I started to like look at Kyle, like I was like, I'm getting fucking terrified right now.
The bartender's got one leg. It's like, oh my god, is this Twin Peaks? Like it started turning into that.
It was getting weird. I was like, let's get the fuck out of here. Let's just next song, cut it, and let's leave.
That's hilarious.
That was the only time, like, publicly. I know I've definitely gone down into the Hurt Locker a few times personally on those experiences, but that was the only time where I was like, the energy in this room, or whatever you want to say, like I'm just not vibing with what's going on right now. And like, the band, we were playing well. It was like, it almost felt like the music was like what I could hide behind to not get caught by the zombies, because I was not enjoying what I was seeing out there.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I've
can't
never-
imagine doing
yeah.
a psychedelic before being in front of people, because like in our like what we do for a living, when we're hosting events and we're at like the Indie 88 birthday party and shit, you have to get up and interrupt the music and be like, "Hey, I'm this guy from that thing," and you do filler talk and whatever. And I get really stressed out about talking in front of people. And I always have people be like, "Just smoke a joint before you get up there." And I'm like, "That's my,
Yeah.
fuck that, dude."
Yeah.
So I can tell the same story that usually takes me 30 seconds in 15 minutes.
Exactly.
I feel like
So again, I'm Brent from Indie 88. And
there's
Like
like a
you said
red
that
light
already,
at the
Brent,
back.
40 times, man.
fuck.
Yeah. I feel like weed hits everyone differently, because I am the type of person where I could smoke a joint and it would be better for me to go on stage. Like it would make my nerves less, but so many people, it's the complete opposite.
Rebound.
Yeah, man. I've seen the worst freakouts I've ever seen on any drug is edible weed. Like tons of them. And, like,
I don't mess
really
around with
bad
that very
freakouts.
much.
Yeah, that's the worst I've ever seen. Just being around people and like, oh, this guy is not coming back here.
It's
And
always
he's just spinning. It's like, sorry, go ahead.
It's always people who don't smoke weed who are like, "Oh, eating weed's not that big of a deal," but eating weed is
Go
so
too
much
far.
more intense.
He's gonna see you later.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing. And that's all you can do is see you later. Like, good luck. Sorry.
So that was it. Like when I had my like freak out panic attack over the holidays, I was like, I had been smoking a copious amount of weed. Like when I went from regular life to pandemic life, my intake went up like 1,000%. And I was like fine with it, because I was like, I was the kind of guy that was now going to dispensaries being like, craziest shit you have is what I want. Now I'm going in like only CBD because my brain will attack itself. But I had this like crazy freak out. I'd taken a couple mushroom caps, and these are like microdosing. So like I drive on them. They're absolutely nothing. So I thought it was the mushrooms that gave me this like crazy panic attack where I thought I died. Like I remember screaming at my girlfriend, "Can you hear me? Like, am I alive right now? I'm dead. I'm dead." Like I was losing my mind. And she's like, "Yeah." And she was so great. She was calming me down through the entire thing. But I then remembered that my friend Lydia had gotten me a couple of like a thing of edibles for Christmas. And I had 2 cookies without my girlfriend looking at me. Like I just kind of wolfed them down without even thinking. I was like, whatever, edibles. I already had one of these, but each edible had different potency. And I ate 2 different cookies. So 2 edibles, mushroom caps, and then I was smoking joints. I was like, I completely forgot that I was fucked on edibles because I hadn't felt anything from them before. And that's what tripped me out. It's like, you know, the 911 calls when cops like eat the pot brownies and they like call 911. They're like, "I'm fucking dead." Like, I remember hearing that call and being like, "What do you mean you're dead?" Then this happened. I was like, "Oh no, I get it." Like, I thought I was not alive anymore. I was so stoned.
I don't even like edibles. I don't really mess around with them.
I'm never gonna fuck with them again.
There needs to be a hotline to call now, because that's a common feature, man. The death feature or the impending doom.
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
It definitely
spinning.
can
It's
take
like
it
you're
there.
spinning in tighter and tighter circles in your head, and now this like induces panic, and then you start breathing heavy, and then the nervous system reacts, and now you're in trouble.
Now you're at
'Cause you're
Schitt's
in a
Creek.
downward spiral.
Yo, like you're speaking my exact language right now. I was watching Star Wars, and now I'm like worried that anytime I watch anything to do with space, it's like a trigger effect.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, man, Mandalorian season 3 is coming out.
I can't be having this shit.
Yeah, man. That's I've seen that like straight to the hospital, panic attack, think they're having a heart attack, end up in the psych ward, like because they're not having a heart attack. It's like in your head a bit when they're like, it's just only the weed, especially like if you're mixing like mushrooms and then smoking a joint. I find that the I loop, like me, keeps coming along. If you hear people talking, they say I more. and then they keep referencing themselves more and more, and it's like, oh, they're sliding down like and it's like, oh, the
paranoid
starting.
space.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I
It's a
remember
slippery
just
slope.
getting like this overwhelming feeling of panic, just like start to come up. And then finally I almost kind of like closed my eyes and felt like I fainted, like blacked out for a second. And then it was just like, boom, full panic. Like my ego kicked in and it was like, you're not allowed to feel this way. Fuck you.
Yes.
Everything's bad.
Yeah.
And then that's like, so like the idea of doing these like psychedelic type ceremonies, whether it's like ketamine or MDMA, and like having that ego death and being like okay with it is something that I'm like, it terrifies me because like it's scary. But if I was able to get over that, I can't imagine how freeing the rest of life would be.
I mean, the concerns of the world float away pretty quickly, and once the eye gets out of the way, that's when you can kind of start to see the mechanisms of the brain, see the impressions on your nervous system you made, and see the things that are constantly triggering the anxiety or whatever it is. And that, I mean, that's where I like MDMA. It's funny because it's got such like a party drug classification, but anytime we've taken it or taken it, it's been like sitting down at a table with like 4 buddies and just talking the entire time. Or if it's me and my girlfriend, like we'll sit down and talk through maybe 6 months of issues we've had where like just again, like Kyle was saying, the communication was off, and just using it because it again puts the self out of the way, puts you like right into your heart essentially. And you can just get clear with yourself. Like that interior voice for the first time is empathetic instead of being like, you stupid fucker, what did you do this time? You really shouldn't be. And like, you know, it turns into be like, man, it's all good. Here's where you're getting stuck. Here's where this. So if that starts to become more popular, especially with people who know how to just kind of skirt around the space a bit to keep it cool and to make sure you don't end up going to a rave and drinking 80 beers, like I think it is one of the most special substances for self-acceptance and bettering, you know, the whole situation.
Yeah,
for sure. Like the Care Bears when they're shooting out their hearts.
That's essentially what happens.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Have you done MDMA, Carlin?
I like back in the day, little bits of it, but not in a sense like he's talking about it.
Yeah, I've only done it a few times. I had one really good experience, which was watching The Killers at Way Home. And then one really poor experience where I was going out for a cigarette at a New Year's Eve party and everyone was like, oh, did you want some too? And I was like, I guess, I don't know. But if you're all doing it, I don't want to be the only one who isn't. And then I just sat on a chair and felt like I couldn't get up because somebody just kept sitting beside it. And I was too like nervous to be like, I actually have to go to the bathroom. I'd be right about to get up and somebody'd sit down and be like, you having a good time, man? And I was like, I just need to get away from this spot.
Yeah. Please, someone give
me
30 seconds just to get up and take a leak.
Honestly, I was like terrified of coming across as rude. The whole time.
So you've been talking a lot about your previous 5-man project. How long have you been doing the Mountainhead project for?
We dropped the first single in 2019, We Still Your Head, and then things were moving pretty quick for the first like 6-7 months there, and then obviously right when we were about to get a tour going and slam, we were gonna release a pile of music, and then it all just kind of, well, we all know what happened, but
yeah.
It's been good. I mean, it's starting to get a little momentum again with songs coming out, but it's at this point they feel so old to us because we've just held on to them for so long.
You've been sitting on these songs and not releasing them?
Yeah, because we were on like the singles only tear. Like every 6 to 8 weeks, drop a single.
Yeah.
Prime the algorithm, as they say. And we just kind of halted for a sec. It was kind of a call between us, and then our manager was kind of, he wanted us to hold off so we could go and support the music physically, but it kind of got too long to wait to be like, well, we gotta do something here because we can't really move around, and I don't want to hate the song by the time it comes out.
Yeah. So what's the next step now? Are you getting back into it then?
Yeah, I mean, right now we just linked up with a bunch of booking agents for Canada and for like international. So we're trying to figure out, you know, I'll believe it when we're on a stage, but like trying to just figure out
exactly
where, who, what, where, when, why with the touring. And we've got a bunch of music primed to release, but since this is the first song we brought to radio, we just, you know, started learning the radio game, how different it is from the streaming game, and, you know, just taking time to let it roll. Cause, you know, our radio guys, like, you don't want to drop another single and now you're competing with your own single with the other single out. And, you know, so again, we got a lot of stuff lined up, but we're letting it out do its thing currently before we, you know, either drop an EP or continue to drop singles down the line.
It's nice to see that there's actually some shows, some actual in-person shows. There's a couple at the Budweiser stage that just got announced for the end of August. Like everyone was talking, oh, it's not happening till the fall, but there's actually going to be live music in Toronto. I get the Budweiser stage is pretty much outdoors, so it's like an outdoor show, but it's still nice to see.
Yeah, for sure. We're doing one at Neat Cafe in Burnstown, August 1st, which will be interesting. It's kind of funny. Like a show gets booked, and you're like, oh shit, we gotta go dust off the rust here. Like we've just been sitting in the basement recording stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
So when you perform, do you have a whole band, or is it just the two of you?
We have a drummer. We do a 3-piece.
Okay.
But just keep it pretty lean.
Guitar, bass yet, just done hip hop style yet.
Yeah.
It's looking like that. God, do we have to do this shit?
Yeah.
Is it a difficult, like, obviously when you're starting to gain some traction and you're getting some radio play, like I know you don't want to, the radio game is obviously different, like you said, not competing with your own music and shit like that. But is it a good feeling to keep that music, to know that you aren't, like, you are going to be able to play shows when that shit comes out? Because I look at other bands that were pumping out tunes and just could only do like a live stream show to support it. And I don't know if it feels better just to get it out because you've been sitting on it for so long, or if you're like, no, these are songs that mean a lot to us, so I do want them to do the best that they can in that scenario, you know?
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, Kyle.
You go. It's more like we're just always making songs and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a river, and then COVID, like the dam came, and it was like, okay, this is fine. But then it was like, now this dam's got to give somewhere. We just got to keep going on. It's like, just to continue on with life, like as a river. Like, so that's where it's like, okay, we need to drop all this so we can continue on with our life. Basically like that. That's how I felt about the stuff holding back for so long.
We did a lot of
more just move on.
Yeah. B and C content too. We made a lot of B and C content, like stuff that you could just drop to like hold over time before you drop, you know, like your single or your EP, like your A content or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to me that so many bands, because every band we've talked to says that they were holding on to music over the pandemic, and it's not like people stopped listening to music during the pandemic. But I'm kind of figuring out, from a band point of view, it's what you make money off of. So if you put out a really good song, you want to go play shows and get people to buy tickets because of that song, right?
Totally.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it got to the flex point where it's like, well, it's been a good year here. We're gonna have to just do something, because if we're not playing music and not releasing music, then we're not operating anymore.
Yeah. Exactly. At the end of the day, it still is like a business, right?
Yeah. You gotta
and then live streams too, which everyone knows how those are. Like at the start, it was like, oh, cool, but and then it's like, this is fucking brutal. Just staring at a camera and it's just black hole in front of your face. Like, here's the next one.
I was watching, someone was posting a story of them on a live stream, and someone had, like, they have the fans along the top, and a few of them were dancing along and some weren't. I wonder what the etiquette is. Like, do you feel like you need to be dancing when you watch it, or do you feel like people should be?
Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly.
That's a weird, what's the streaming etiquette?
Should I be doing it?
Because I kind of like, you move to the music, but do you feel normal full on dancing when you're at home in your living room by yourself?
It's just from the hips up too.
It's like the WWE like Thunderdome that they have going on. It's all just screens of people, and like you got a heel character, the bad guy, come into the ring being like, I'm gonna crush Samoa Joe this weekend, and then you just look behind, there was a bunch of nerds going, I don't like it. Thumbs down. You're like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
This is so bad.
Exactly, man. It's just not the same at all. Like that, which is it's a hard one to replace. It's like,
yeah,
so
you need
again,
the reciprocation. Like the crowd and the band is one thing. Like going up together, like without each other interacting, it seems pretty drab. And we're talking about the feedback loop on weed. Like go streaming, do a streaming concert, and just stare into the pipe of that webcam, and that feedback's coming no matter what.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Just contemplating every choice you've ever made in your entire life while looking into the camera.
That's exactly it. Sitting there looking back at you. It has Logitech below it. That's such a brand.
How does so when you guys have like a lot of shit that you're excited about and you're proud of and you want to release but you can't, and then you start writing new material, how does writing the new material affect your feelings about the old shit, or does it? Like, are you able to?
It definitely, like, it just gets like, let's get this out of here, because it's like a drag in the past. It's like, again, like Kyle was saying, it's hard to like be present with what you're doing. I mean, you can be, of course, to make the music, but it's like, okay, we got, 8 songs we have to release before we can release this song. So it starts to become like a pile of just like, fuck, we have to get through all of this to get to here. So it's like, we're always so far behind in the public space or where we're at when we're actually doing things. So to catch up to ourselves, especially with that year off, seemed like daunting. And it still does, because you're like, we got this other song, Backseat, we want to get out, and it's just sitting there. It's been ready for so long, but it's going to be a while before we can get to what we're recording now.
Mm-hmm.
In the batter's box, it's tired of swinging those 2 bats around,
Yeah. Well, I was driving into to work this morning, listening to your Spotify. I had it going, and I heard your cover of a Wu-Tang Clan song. What's the story behind that?
That was a good story of doing something versus doing nothing. Like, we woke up on a Sunday, hungover as shit, and we had an idea of doing. We did it live one time. We did the shimmy shimmy out thing live, and we're like, maybe we should just record this. Like, we'll just record a live version of it, whatever. And we hemmed and hawed because, again, we were hungover, but we just went and did it. And we did it in such a stupid way in hindsight. Like, we have a studio, we could have recorded it properly, but we decided to do it live with like shitty SM57s. And so we just recorded that, posted it, and, tagged the Wu-Tang Clan in it. And then we were on a flight to Miami. And we landed in Miami, and I turned on my phone, and it just started going nuts, like notifications going crazy. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? And then we had a message. There was Wu-Tang was in our DMs being like, yo, send us that video file. We want to put it on our YouTube. And then they'd already posted it on Instagram and Facebook. And we were already half in the bag. And we had to call home and tell my partner, I was like, hey, we got to find this file. Like, and she's like, where is it? I was like, finding this, like the hidden file. We're like, the RZA needs this file. We need to find it. We can't screw it up. If we send the wrong file, we're fucked, and we're not getting a repost. But
this is our one chance.
Yeah, so we got it to them. They reposted it and gave us a good phone.
It's funny you say that you just went in with like some shitty SM57s and did a whatever take of it, because in radio, and Brent will probably agree with me, it's never stuff that really works and does well. It's never something that you plan out. It's always just something off the cuff that just kind of works.
100%.
Like anytime you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna kill, it always flops.
Oh yeah,
every time, man.
Yeah, you could go get you could make an amazing video with an amazing director, amazing gear, take an amazing photo with a great photographer. But if you just like $1 million, if you just like take a picture of yourself farting with your phone, like that's what's gonna perform.
Yeah.
Yes. It is fucking crazy. Like, I made a video yesterday and I was like, this is so topical. This is so good. Very on brand for the audience. 80 likes. Fuck!
Yeah.
What was it?
Exactly.
The COVID?
I was like, this is fucking funny. And then I was like, and as I was editing it, I was like, oh yeah, here we go, viral.
Yeah.
I posted, no one. It's like half the likes of the fucking people that work with us. It's it's crazy. Like, has there been a song for you guys? I mean, I guess other than that one, that like shocked you with how well it resonated with people? Like, are you ever blown away by what you think will perform well and what kind of connects?
For sure. There's definitely some songs where you think it's going to crack hard and you're like, oh, no one's listened to this. Or there's like, even Let It Out, like Let It Out, we knew it was like a pretty catchy song and it was very simple. But, you know, we didn't expect to, you know, crack onto the chart or whatever. We just thought, you know, it would get some featured spins and that would be that. And it would be like our first intro into just like the radio space. And, you know, it's done pretty well and that's been cool. We Stole Your Head too, the first song we released, like we obviously really liked it, but we didn't think it was going to get the traction it did. We didn't think we were going to get playlisted right away and kind of get, you know, a good local buzz about it. But there's definitely been a lot of things that, a lot of the stuff we thought was going to be great is like, whatever. And a lot of the stuff that's just like, whatever is like, yes, that's it every time. So it's like you guys are saying, it's a good lesson in like not to get too heady about the process at all, because no one cares. It's just
or giving a fuck at all. Yeah.
No.
The less you give a fuck, the better it does, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a math equation here.
Yeah, it's a tough math equation to crunch.
So
and it's difficult because you're like, you want to plan something, but you almost can't. You're like, I have an idea, but I can't think about it or it'll suck.
Yeah, because like expectations come in as soon as the plan gets made.
Yeah.
And generally, I think humans tend to over expect, and then we're getting crushed. That's
What do you think it was about your Shimmy Shimmy Yeah cover that RZA liked?
It was just different, you know. Like Kyle and I have the double vocal thing. That, I mean, the best, honestly, one of the best compliments we ever got was someone trying to chirp us on that video saying that vocal effect is a shitty vocoder. Like that's a shitty vocoder sound. And we're like, well, thank you, because that's actually just us singing together.
That's
nice try, buddy. It was just different, I think. And I mean, we didn't really want to do, when we wanted to do a cover, we wanted to do something different, and we wanted to do something that, like, clearly we're not going to be able to do what ODB did on that song. But, you know, if we do like a ZZ Top cover, everyone's going to expect that. If we do Spirit in the Sky, everyone's going to expect that. Or even just, you know, if you do certain covers, people are like, that didn't sound exactly like the Beatles. Why did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to do something that it could just be its own thing and live in its own.
Yeah, I feel like the best covers are either different than the original or they have to be better than the original for it to be a great cover.
Yeah,
that was your only options.
The threshold of like what people will fuck with when it comes to covers is so fine. Yeah. Because there's like Weezer did that whole covers record, whatever. Like, I like Weezer, but they released a lot of dog shit. They did that cover of Toto's Africa, and I can't tell you how many people called into our radio station saying, why are you playing Toto all the time? And I was like, this is Weezer covering it. And they would say, no, it isn't. I was like, I don't know what to fucking tell you. Yes, it is. Like, I'm looking at it. I work here. And I was like, but like, is that the key to a good cover, that it's so unrecognizable?
That's what people are looking for. They punish you if it's not, which is the strangest thing. It's like, go play the record then. Like,
that song exists.
It's already there.
Yeah. But people are afraid of like new things, so they need a bridge from their old thing to trust you in the new thing. Like, that's what I found too. Like, we've had people, like, again, the last band was just jamming. They're like, this is really good, but I don't know what to do with it, and I gotta go. Like, just like scare them away. You gotta be careful with it.
you need someone to help you over the bridge. Or not even someone. You need something to help someone over the bridge, because no one wants to be the first to admit they like something. Everyone needs, like, you know, someone else has to be like, yo, this is cool. In most cases, for people to be like, yeah, this is dope.
Yeah,
like
that
you
is
said,
a very
Carlin,
good
man,
point.
like, people are gonna dance because they're dancing at the show. It's like, oh, it's cool to dance. But like when you're by yourself in the living room, you're like, okay, I guess.
It feels weird. It's not the same at all.
Toronto crowds too, I think, are like unreasonably like looking for that bridge person, like you're saying. Like, everybody there is like, impress me.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you're like, you bought tickets to the show.
Yeah, it's probably really hard as a new band, because I find with Toronto crowds, the best shows to go to where everyone's giving it in the crowd are like the nostalgia bands. Like probably the most fun I've ever had at a show in Toronto was a Dashboard Confessional show, just because it was a bunch of like 30-year-olds listening to the music from when they were 14 years old, just having the best time. But yeah, that is a good point, that you need that like bridge person to be like, this is fun, this is cool.
You're okay. You're allowed to like this.
Yeah. There should be an announcement that actually just plays over the speakers before each band comes on in Toronto, being like, you're allowed to enjoy this. Please move.
It's not uncool.
Okay.
You all paid to be here. You paid for concert tickets. Enjoy it.
It could literally be like UFO shows up and then aliens get out and play music we've never heard before, and people are like,
I don't know. It doesn't sound like a guitar, so
that's not a Fender Jazzmaster.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, you guys have been amazing.
No, thanks for having us.
People are with us, because we look like ZZ Top. It's like, or maybe Duck Dynasty, if that's still around. And they're like, okay, that's familiar.
Yeah.
We play and don't sound like that. They're like, oh, I'm freaked again.
I don't like this.
Did they just do a hip hop cover?
Yeah, we need some more classic rock out of this. Awesome. Well, where can people find you guys if they want to check out your music?
I'd say Instagram we're probably the most active on, at Mountainhead Music. Mountainhead is the band name, so anywhere you want to stream your music, we got some solid YouTube content up there. Always just creating for the folks and for ourselves. So anywhere, just type in Mountainhead. You should be able to see us, two ugly bearded guys with gold teeth.
Don't sell yourself short. We got a couple of beauties here.
we're not too hard to miss.
What's that single you guys are going to be putting out that you're saying was a good one?
Backseat. Well, hopefully we get to put it out. We'll talk to our manager and he'll be like, nah, not for months, guys.
We'll watch for Backseat though.
But yeah, thank you for having us, guys. And obviously thanks to Indie 88 for being the first supporters of our new single.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Thank you so much for coming on. You guys were amazing.
Yeah, this was a pleasure. And this conversation went in a lot of different ways that I didn't expect it to go to, but it felt freeing in a way to talk about some of that shit that I haven't spoken to before. So appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate being able to talk to you guys and be open about stuff like this, because some people get scared,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.